Okay, so uh, okay, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for February's SAI seminar. I'm very excited today to be welcoming Ahmed Muhammad, and you'll get to learn all about him. And he's waving right now, but you can't see him, but you'll see him shortly. You'll get to learn all about him today and his project. So my name is Fanyong Wendy. I'm the Chief Resident here at SAI, the STEM Advocacy Institute. And our main focus is really to create an environment and a community whereby we support founders who are building the next generation of programs and research and so forth that aim to connect science and society to increase access to STEM from society. As you can imagine, it's really hard to be building these programs, doing the research, making connections, finding funding. It's really, really hard. And so at SAI, we want to make that easy because when we do so, we believe we can accelerate that connection and we can make STEM more accessible. The lot of challenges in place and our community keeps growing. And so we're very excited about that around the world, slowly but surely. And this morning, we're very excited to welcome Ahmed Muhammad. And so he is a high school senior at Oakland Technical High School. And I profile in my newsfeed on CNN, and whereby the title was Young Student Creates a Nonprofit Building These Kits. And I was so intrigued. So I emailed him, okay? And I did not think he will respond. I did not think he would respond, but he did. He responded. And through that, he was super excited. And I knew that I wanted him to come by and give a talk and let us know about his journey and how he started this. Keep in mind, he's a high school student. We rarely see these students. And so this is his first presentation for his organization. I'll divulge that because these sessions are very informal. We're all very conversationalists here, and we just want to engage in conversation, ask questions. So Ahmed will present for about 20 or 30 minutes or so, if that. And then our audience here, which are members, for those of you who are live streaming this, we have our live members here who will be asking questions and so forth. And so with that, Ahmed, I'm going to pass it on to you and welcome you again. So I'm going to stop the spotlight and let you present your screen. Ahmed, welcome.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. As Samuel said, he reached out via email and I was like, STEM Advocacy Institute. I was like, yeah, I need to talk to this guy. And so I responded, we connected, and now I'm here. I'm super excited. So I guess can you guys see me right now?
Yes,
okay,
we can see you.
I'm gonna share my screen. Let's see. If my desktop is cluttered, yep, it's cluttered. I apologize. All right, cool. So let me just present. Okay. So, Kids Cubed. So just before I get into it, about me, like Fanuel said, I'm a high school senior. I go to Oakland Tech. It's a large public high school in Oakland, California. We have like about 2,000 kids. We're a Title I school, and so we do struggle with funding and stuff. But it's also just a super tight knit community, and I really love it there. I've been going there all 4 years of high school. I'm a senior now, so yeah. I really love STEM, like in science and stuff. That's been a huge part of my upbringing ever since I was little. My parents found like summer programs, after school programs for me to explore science with my own hands. And so since I was little, I've known I've always wanted to do something with science, but I never knew exactly what. I still don't know exactly what, but I do know that STEM is something I want to do in the future. And also, this isn't really related to the presentation, but I played on our basketball team. I really love basketball too. So it wouldn't be an About Me page without me expressing my love for basketball and how the Golden State Warriors are the best team ever. So yeah. And then I'm planning on going to college next year. I don't know where yet, but when I do hope to explore some sort of engineering. and computer science. So yeah, that's me. And I also love playing video games too. It also wouldn't be an about me page without video games. So yeah, I'll go to the next slide though. Oops. So what is Kids Cubed? And actually, so Kids Cubed is a youth-led nonprofit organization that I started, and our mission is to introduce youth to the wonders of science through fun, affordable, and accessible means. Here's I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at it, but here's our website. And this is my niece and nephew. I will talk about them in a little bit. And just our front page of the website, a quote by Dr. Macy Jameson. Here's our mission statement: to introduce you to the wonders of science through fun, affordable, and accessible means. Here's our about page. It's a little outdated. I need to update it, but it still serves the purpose of this is me. This explains our program. These are two of my team members. Now we have like 8 team members, I think. And so, yeah, I need to update it. Experiments here are just some of the featured kits that we have. Like these are the kits that we make. We sell them on our website, and we also distribute these to like different schools and different educational organizations. So we have 3 right now, and each experiment comes with 3. Each like kit comes with 3 experiments / projects, hence the name Kids Cubed. If I click on one of them, let me see. Like we have like rock candy, potato battery, and catapult. And like each kit comes with instruction manuals for kids to do and all the materials that they need. But I am getting a little bit ahead of myself. Oh, we also sell t-shirts. 2 t-shirts right now. We have some new ones on the way though. But yeah, we sell t-shirts, and then our impact page. But I'll save this one for later. Yeah, so that's sort of what Kids Cubed is. Where we make science kits basically for elementary school students to get them involved with science at a young age rather than like an older age. Like for example, in actual school, I don't remember doing a science project until like high school. So I know that early hands-on experience is so crucial for younger students. And that actually brings me to Kids Cubed origins. How did I just one day wake up in the middle of a pandemic and decide to launch Kids Cubed to make science kits? And it's actually an interesting story. So that is me circa 2018. You can see how short my hair was, but that's me with my niece and nephew, Amir and Isla. Here's Amir, here's Isla, and they are 7 and 9 years old. So since I am their uncle, I babysit them all the time. Whenever I babysit them, we do things like play chess or watch TV or play board games, play hide and seek, play tag, just like fun kid stuff. I get to run around and be a kid with them, and that's what we do whenever we hang out. And so when they were at my house, I want to say like April of 2020, I thought that they were old enough to try science. I love science. It was something that I loved as a child. I wanted to share that with them. And so I brought it up. I asked Amir and Isla, do you guys want to try some science experiments? And they looked at me like I was crazy. They were like, no, we hate science. Amir said he was bad at science. Isla said that she hated science. And they both just expressed the reluctance to learn it at all. And I had asked them, have you guys ever tried science before? They said, no, we haven't. And I asked them what they thought science was, and they started describing like stuff that you would think in a movie, like a lab that's far off in like the middle of a desert with like hundreds of millions of dollars of equipment and a ton of stuff that they couldn't pronounce. So for them, science was this sort of outlandish idea that they didn't think was accessible to them and that they didn't think was around them really. And so what I did was I went to my room, I got out some books, and I designed experiments for us to do. I used the internet. The internet was a huge resource too. And I wanted to design experiments with stuff that we could find around the house to show my niece and nephew that science actually is all around us. And it's not what they thought it was. It's everything we do pretty much. And so we did like a couple experiments. We made a potato battery out of like some copper nails, some galvanized nails, and some wires I had laying around the house, and like a little clock. We made a sundial with like a stick from the backyard and rocks that we could find. We did different observations with leaves and trees and stuff. like that. And they loved it, honestly. And the joy that they felt when trying science for the first time and realizing that it is this cool thing, that was my first step in sharing their joy with the rest of, one, like Oakland children, students that are just like them, and also because the lack of STEM access is just not an Oakland problem. It's all around it's all around the Bay Area, California, the country, the world. So I wanted to just share my love for science with as many people as possible through these kits. And actually, the first kit we designed, so this is our first day of ever trying out science experiments. So the very first kit was a pop rocket, is what we call it. So if you can see, like, that's in my backyard, like on the little concrete, you can see like Alka-Seltzer packets. This is a film canister, and like we made like a nose cone and fins for our rocket for them to do. And so basically you take the film canister, you put some water in it, and then you put the Alka-Seltzer in, close it, flip it, and then it goes up like 20, 30 feet. And I wanted to do that one first with them just because it's quick, and like there's an explosion, and they loved it. And then they were like, Uncle Ahmed, when's the next experiment? Where's the next experiment? And now they actually test out all of our kids' cube experiments now. And I'm really glad that they're into science. It's been super great. And so those first kits that I designed is what I wanted to serve as sort of the basis, the first kits, the pilot kits of Kits Cubed. And then I just wanted to expand it out after. And that's how, a couple months later, we're here. So that's sort of the origin story. I was babysitting them. And so here's just some photos. This is our first event, actually. We donated 60 science kits to Piedmont Avenue Elementary School in Oakland. I just love this photo over here on the left. Here's some more photos of kids using our science kits. The kid on the left is using our potato battery experiment, and this is actually an extension activity where we have kids try out like different like fruits and vegetables. And stuff. He used the carrot.
Okay. See, Noel, is that me or we've lost him?
I've lost him.
Okay. So I think he's going to rejoin us in a second, and I would suggest we just give him a second to come back in. And here he is. Hey, Ahmed, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, so we lost you there.
Sorry.
It's okay.
My internet went out. How long was I just talking to myself?
It's totally fine. So if you can go back to the slide, you had photo. I think
Okay.
of the two kids. And don't worry about it. This is expected.
Okay. I can't share I'm no longer a host.
Oh yeah, sorry. Here we go.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
Okay. Back to presentation. So I left off right here.
Yep, perfect.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys caught it when I was talking, but I'm gonna just repeat it. This is like from our potato battery experiment, and he made a light up out of some carrots, which I thought was pretty cool. And then this over here on the right, this photo is from a student who used our original experiment set. He made a kaleidoscope actually, and that wheel is like the art that you see in the kaleidoscope. Like you turn the wheel and that's what you see. So this is just some photos of students that have used the kits. Here's like the kits that we stacked up. This is like actually before, this is like in my house. That was the original place that we made the kits. My mom was so mad at me because I was like making kits in my room. My room wasn't big enough, so then I started making science kits in like the family room and in the kitchen. And yeah, my mom just wasn't having that. Now we do have an office space, but this is like real like janky style. Like, okay, we're making kits in like in the house, in the garage. And so that's one of them. That's like my kitchen door. And then so here are just like different students using our kits. Like the top middle one is from a giveaway. The top right is students using our electricity and magnetism sets. And the bottom middle one is like, we collaborated with the Alameda County EMS Corps. And so that's actually in there. You guys are looking at top secret unreleased science kits that we designed for human anatomy. And so the trainees, like the EMTs in training, actually use our human anatomy kits to learn about the respiratory system. So yeah. And then here's just some press. This is me talking to Sharon Osbourne on the talk. Over here is Marcus Thompson and the CNN article I think this is the one that Fanuel heard about Kids Cubed from. That's the one that made him reach out. And the press has been super cool. The press has actually been our biggest friend because no matter what I post on Instagram, it's not going to reach near as many people as this like 2-minute clip on the talk. And like I was able to be featured on Access Hollywood. We have a Disney Channel commercial, just like all this like random stuff that is super cool that helps us reach more kids and helps us get the word out. So yeah, that's the press that we've had so far. And so now it's sort of like, okay, how did this all happen? How did I get here? And so step zero, creating platform and philosophy. So I explained how I came up with the idea. I was babysitting my niece and nephew. I wanted to make science kits for them and I wanted to share those science kits. But at the same time, I know, and you all know that, okay, there's a ton of science kits out there. There's a ton of companies that make science kits. Why would I try to create my own versus just supporting an organization that already has these science kits that work? And so I researched similar organizations like Mel Science or like the Smithsonian kits or Tinker Crates, and all with really similar concepts, stuff that I wanted to explore. And I used those kits when I was little, and I would be perfectly fine buying those kits for my niece and nephew, for example. But the biggest difference I saw is the price, really. Like how much do these science kits cost? And then that sort of gets into that ties into the vision of Kids Cubed. Okay, is Kids Cubed going to be a for-profit organization, a nonprofit organization? Because I don't want to be charging like $100 for a science kit, because that defeats the purpose of making science accessible for all students of all kinds. So so that was that. And also with these science kits, they use a lot of I mean, it's cool, they use a lot of like fancy material and stuff, but that's sort of what I wanted to sort of do the opposite. I wanted to use simple, everyday materials that kids could put together to realize that science is all around us. So those are the two big differences I see with Kids Cubed versus these other organizations, is that one, we're nonprofit, so we focus on making science accessible for everybody. We're not trying to make a ton of money off of these kits. And also we use everyday materials to really bring kids in. And also going back to the vision of Kids Cubed, like, okay, who do I want to target? Who do I want to reach with these science kits? And so our main target audience at Kids Cubed is students who would have otherwise never had the access or the opportunity to explore science. So that's why when you look at all of our kit donation drives, they're at schools with at least 75% or more students who qualify for free and reduced lunch. You know, the students who can't buy the Mel Science kits, the Smithsonian kits, the Tinker takes, they're still going to be able to explore science with Kids Cubed. And then also designing the website and logo. I like when this was like around when we first went online school, so like there was just nothing to do. So I just spent all day like trying to come up with a logo and make a website and stuff. So yeah, I think those were like the preliminary steps before actually launching. And so my first step was just designing kits. This looks like a long list, and it actually does take a while. So the first step is to, I start with just choosing a science concept. Okay, do I want kids to explore physics or chemistry or what? So that's where I start. And then I brainstorm kit ideas. And then I think of household materials that will work for the science kit. Because like I said, I'm not gonna go out. For example, one of our kits right now that I'm working on is a cellular respiration unit. And I wanted to use a pH indicator. I thought of a experiment that I did in biology class where we were breathing into a tube, like a cup with a water full of the pH indicator bromothymol blue. But what is bromothymol blue? Like no kids are gonna know that. So we've actually decided to use red cabbage indicator. Like kids know what cabbage is, and it works as a pH indicator. So like sort of that concept, taking away the super long fancy names and the yeah, you guys get it. And so the household materials and creating prototypes. So okay, we have these ideas in our head. Let's try to see which ones we can actually materialize. And even if it's like just a bad kit, that's okay. It's a prototype where the point is to make it better. And so then we look at our prototypes and we look at which ones do we think can go somewhere. And we also have to look at the price of the materials, because we don't want to be selling the kits for $50, $100. All of our kits are for $15 and come with 3 experiments. So we need to keep the price down. We need to look for cheap alternatives, but also keeping the same learning potential, the learning capacity of the science kits. Like we want the students to be able to learn the same concepts just without paying the same price. And so then that's how we finalize our kits. We weigh things like how fun are they to assemble? Do they take forever, and are they going to bore kids? So we look at the fun factor, as we like to say. And then also the learning potential, like what are they going to learn from it? Are they going to learn anything from it? That's the most important part. And then lastly, affordability, like how I mentioned. And then we create like instructions with like some rough sketches, because all of our kits come with instruction manuals that students can follow along with. And then I test it out with Amir and Isla, my niece and nephew, and some other kids in our target age. So yeah, Amir and Isla love being our test people, and they always give me feedback like, Uncle Ahmed, this was way too confusing, or what does this word mean, or this was too hard to put together. So they help us make sure that the kits we're putting out actually can be utilized and to their full potential, really, to the elementary school students. And then so we modify everything based off of the feedback they give us. And then and once we finalize everything, then we send our kits to our design team, who are going to like draw out sketches, who are going to like finalize illustrations for the instructions and everything. So that way it's all ready to go. So the kids can be their own independent scientists when these kits get to their house. So then step 2 was building a brand. So I have a platform, I have a vision for what I want Kids Cube to be. I have some science kits that's ready to go. And now I just need to get them out there. Who's going to buy my science kits? They're not going to know who I am. So I have to build a brand in order to do that. And so I started with my neighborhood. Neighborhood wasn't very nice to me. Very understandable though, in the middle of a pandemic, but they weren't very nice to me. I had spent a lot of time walking around, knocking on doors, printing flyers and stuff. But there were a couple people that were very nice, and they ended up donating or ended up buying a kit. And that was really encouraging to know that, okay, I know that I know that there's a need for Kids Cubed in the community, and that there are some people willing to support it. Maybe not in my neighborhood, but they're definitely out there. And I also use my story / mission to our advantage. You know, Kids Cubed was it's very, in my opinion, it's an organic story. Honestly, I didn't start Kids Cubed, for example, to like, oh my gosh, I want to get into college, I need to do something, or I want to like buy the new iPad. So what can I think of that's going to make me money? No, it was me babysitting my niece and nephew, and I wanted to bring science to them, and I wanted to share that with the rest of my community. And so that helped us in terms of people wanting to support us, because that's a cause that it's easier to back than one of the other ones that I mentioned. And that also, I want to say, definitely helped with press. We're going through tough times, and journalists and news stations are looking for a feel-good story. And so we definitely use that to our advantage. A lot of people reached out just because they need a feel-good story, and it was great for our publicity and building our brand. And then so with all that, we built, utilized, and kept connections with absolutely everybody, because everybody has played a role into building Kids Cubed. And so, for example, I never knew this, but journalists, like when they write an article, like 10 other journalists are just going to copy and paste the exact same article. And so that was just all in terms of networking. So now Kids Cubed has this huge network of people that we can reach out to if we need some publicity, or if we need some funding, or if we want to give kits away. So that's sort of building our brand. Step 3, securing funding. So I have a brand, I have a vision, I have some science kits. Who's going to pay for it? How are we going to actually do this? And so we go about this in 2 ways. One is the website that I showed you earlier. So we have an e-commerce platform. So people come to our website and buy kits for an affordable price. And the whole point is that students who can afford to buy kits do buy kits. And the revenue that we generate from that goes to students who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford the science kits, our target group. So it's funded. The supporters of Kids Cubed fund those who we are trying to support, if that makes sense. And so out of our kits and like our t-shirts, you can actually see me wearing one right there, the t-shirts. We've raised about $30,000 since April. We've sold a little bit over 3,000 science kits, and the price points differ but it all rounds out to about $30,000. And so that's our e-commerce, but also fiscal sponsorship. Kids Cubed is a nonprofit organization, or we operate as one. And in order to do that legally, we need a fiscal sponsor. And that fiscal sponsor for us is Seneca Family of Agencies. So they're an accredited nonprofit institution. And so that allows us to apply for grants and accept donations that will be tax deductible, because if it's not tax deductible, people aren't going to donate, and grants aren't going to give it, and foundations aren't going to give us grants. So the fiscal sponsorship has been huge in just allowing us to get donations. And so grants like the Cliff Bar Foundation, the San Francisco Family Foundation, the Beast Mode Foundation, Bristol Myers Squibb, these like different foundations actually, like, I apply for these grants and I tell them the story, I tell them what we're trying to do and what we need to do with X amount of dollars, and then they write a check, pretty much is how it goes. And so that's also a huge source of funding. And then also our strongest it goes back to the individual donations, our individual supporters. Just all the crowdfunding from all around the country has helped Kids Cubed tremendously, and we've raised about $30,000 just through everyday people just wanting to, pitch in 25, 50 bucks, or $10 or $5, or just their time, like Samuel reaching out, wanting to just learn more. So that's also how we've secured funding, and just back to networking and all that. And as you can look at the numbers, $30,000, $35,000, 30, it's all really it's all equal, which I think is pretty cool. I don't really know what the implications are of that, but I just think it's cool. So yeah, fiscal sponsorship was super important. So then step 4, creating partnerships. How are we gonna just reach as many people as we can, basically? And so Seneca Family of Agencies is our fiscal sponsor, the Beast Mode Foundation. I don't know if you guys know Marshawn Lynch, but he's a former NFL football player. He's actually an alumni from my school. He reached out when he heard about Kids Cubed and just offered his support. So Beast Mode covered all of our legal fees. For example, I think it was $10,000 or something. They just covered it all. Oaklandish Oaklandish is a Oakland-based like t-shirt organization. Like we sell t-shirts too, and so they helped us with our brand. They helped us network and advertise. The t-shirt factory in San Leandro gave us like all of our t-shirts for free, so we can sell them and maximize the impact that we can have on kids. Alameda County EMS Corps, as I stated earlier, when we made science kits for them. And it's just, and there's a lot more that I just couldn't even fit on this page, but it's a ton of people reaching out, making partnerships. And I want to note that these are all like community organizations. And so Kids Cubed is a community organization. We want to do something for Oakland and for just for people in general. And it was not hard for these different organizations to back that. So then that goes to incorporating our nonprofit. So now where Kids Cubed is doing everything that we wanted to do, we're making kits, we're reaching kids, we're seeing them smile, we're inspiring our young scientists. We have the money, the means to do it, but are we doing it legally is the question. Are we an official business? And for a long time, the answer was no. And that's a problem, because if we ever really want to make that big impact, we're gonna need to be a real business. And so that goes to filing to be an official corporation and an official nonprofit. So technically, legally speaking, we are now Kids Cubed Incorporated, which I just think is so cool. That little ink on the end is just awesome. So we have to form a board of directors, a mix of like educators and entrepreneurs who all share the same vision and the same desire to give back and to help us out, because we're like little high school students. We definitely need guidance. And then we have to draft bylaws and other formalities. Huge emphasis on the formalities. It's almost like a copy and paste off of Google. Yeah, and then we filed for official business incorporation, Kids Cubed Inc., as I stated earlier. And then also we have to file for 501c3 status. So that way we don't need a fiscal sponsor anymore. Kids Cubed can take donations directly. And then also we can get away under from Seneca's skin, really, because like I compare it to like a parent and their kid. You don't want a kid living in your house for forever. I'm 18, my parents are already talking about kicking me out the house. And so eventually I'm gonna need to go be on my own. And that's sort of the whole point of filing for C3 status, to go be on your own. Like Seneca, our parent, they taught us, and now it's time to see where we go. Now it's time to spread our wings. But most importantly, out of all the steps, out of everything that I have said, the one common theme, the one thing that we have had to stick with the whole time, and that we have stuck with the whole time, is carrying out our mission. That's the most important part. And so out of all the steps, the main focus, or what we had to keep at heart, was, what are we trying to do? We're trying to give science kits to kids, basically. And so we do this by hosting science kit giveaways at school, donating kits to different organizations, and donating kits to individual students. And we see, like, all the work that we do is for that smile right there, that kid. We tapped into his inner scientist. And that's really, it's what keeps us going, honestly. And that right there is what makes Kids Cubed fun, and something that we don't want to stop, that we want to just keep pushing to see how far we can go. So carrying out our mission is always number one, and it's always at the center of everything we do. And that's it. Thank you for listening, and I'll open the floor for questions.
Fantastic. Ahmed, that was, I think hopefully we have quite a few questions for you. I don't have a ton, but I'm going to try to keep quiet mostly. If you wouldn't mind stopping your screen sharing so you can take a look at everybody. Okay, so that was a lot of information in there. The floor is open for all our residents that are here, and staff. Please go ahead and ask Ahmed your questions. Everybody is shy. I'll start us off, Ahmed. So the first question I have is talking about your impact. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like how are you measuring impact beyond how many kids are getting? What are you measuring? How these kids are impacting them, and so forth.
Yeah. So one thing that we've done, one is we've just like tracked the number of kits that we've actually put out. But on top of that, sure, we can send out as many kits as we want, but are they accomplishing what we want, which is to inspire kids? And so we stay in touch with the schools, we stay in touch with the teachers and the students to see whether or not the students are engaged in science now and want to learn more about it. And we've seen that that's definitely the case. Kids are getting really excited for these science kits. You know, their older siblings might have had some, or their friends at a different school that we did a giveaway drive might have showed them the stuff that they were doing. So we're definitely reaching that impact. And what's more is that students are asking for like more and like for the next sets of our kits. And so we actually, the month of February, we're doing a lot of we're doing additional donation drives to the schools that we've already donated science kits to. So like we've donated the first kit to them. There was enough student demand to where we want some more. So then we're gonna donate kit 2 to these schools. So that's sort of how we're measuring impact.
Great. And so it's amazing from what you described. It sounds like you have an army, like 20 plus people, but it's not the case, right? It's like yourself and you're making these kits in your house, right? So far,
I don't make them.
Okay.
I luckily I don't make them in my house anymore. If you guys saw my room in the summer, like it was actually a jungle, just with all the boxes and the materials that I had. But so like I said, we moved from my room to the kitchen, from the kitchen to the family room to the backyard, and now we actually have an office space where we store all of our kits and we make the kits there. And I don't make kits anymore either. I have hired some of my friends who now work together as an assembly team 4 days a week, pushing out a couple hundred of these a week. So yeah, luckily I've done my time of making kits. I'm gonna pass it on.
That's great. So if you have questions, please raise your hand or drop in the chat. Okay. Please don't be shy. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Jessica.
This is really amazing what you've done. Truly, I think you were talking about your board of directors and how you felt like you're just high school students, but this is amazing. You should be really proud of what you have done, and I'm just so impressed. I just a comment, and then I had a bunch of questions, but I just think this idea of access, and that you're sort of at the end, you sort of linked everything back to that, right? That's the whole point. And that's our mission at SAI is really, I mean, you can see it in Faneuil's virtual background, is really accelerating access to STEM and identifying the kids that actually need it. Kind of piggybacking off of his question was, have you thought about like more formalized ways of assessing how kids are learning from either parents or teachers, or if you have like quotes from them, or like videos from them on how they enjoy the kits or what they take out of it?
Right, that's a very good point. A very good question. We do have like testimonials from kids and photos. Not so much videos. That's definitely interesting. I definitely do want to see some videos of kids doing the kits, just to see like their faces and how they're reacting to it. But I think that's something we definitely need to work on, is formalizing how we quantify our impact, really, so that way we can have a better understanding and we can figure out how to have the most impact possible.
And then how do you see this, like where do you see it going? Like I'm trying to think of how you scale up, right? Like how do you scale to other cities and other schools? Even thinking about, could this be something that is integrated into a formalized curriculum for, schools like in general, right? And then even thinking like beyond that, like in other countries, there's a lot of lack of access to a lot of these abilities to do experiments. Like how could you do that? And I'm just curious if you've thought about how you would get there, or even if you want to expand.
I think we may have lost him there. But while he comes back, that's, as you all know, we focus heavily on evaluation, right? To try to think about, okay, what is the impact, or what could you measure? And that's something that even with Ahmed, we've talked a little bit about that, what he's thinking about. And it's always a challenge, right? It's a huge challenge. Even we face it ourselves. Like, what do you measure? When do you measure it? And so forth. So here is Ahmed again. Hey, Ahmed.
I complain to my parents every day about how we have the worst internet in the history of the world.
No worries at all. We were just chatting away. Yeah, so I don't know if you heard the question, but
Scaling up,
impact,
right?
yeah, scaling up and so forth. Yep.
So I've definitely thought about scaling up, and
Oh no. Oh, he's not gonna be a happy chap. um, okay, let's see. He's gonna come back soon, I hope.
I mentioned a lot about just Oakland schools. I went out again.
Yeah,
You
you
guys
went.
hear me?
Yeah, you went out a little bit. Can you start again?
Man, this is terrible. I apologize.
No worries.
We have a focus on like donating a lot of kids to Oakland schools just because that's where I'm from and that's where I would like to see the impact go first. But we've also I think we've sent kids to all 50 states, and we've been able to donate like we donate a couple hundred to schools in Oakland. We've also been able to do that in like Florida and in Kansas, for example. So we have definitely started to scale up, and we are thinking about reaching other places and other states, other cities. What I would say is our biggest issue is where are we going with this really? Because I'm about to be in college. I'm obviously not going to be able to take on the same role and still like have fun in college and still enjoy college. And we're all high school seniors who are going to college next year. So we're talking about, maybe creating a program to where we can actually pass this down to the next high school seniors, and they pass it down to the next high school seniors, and just setting up these different outposts, so like these different bubbles. Okay, Oakland, now we can go to Berkeley, or now we can go to Seattle or something like that, and just creating that network of youth who share our mission and who share the drive of wanting to give science to the kids. So I think we do have plans on expanding, and if we are going to expand, we're going to need to create a wide network of young people who want to do what we're doing right now.
Yeah. And Ahmed, can you still hear me? Yeah. Okay. Well, he comes back. Let's see. I was just thinking one idea for his organization as well is to get these sort of instructions, right, to individuals out there, other people who want to try and do this, teach them the model, here's the process, and then that way you can scale up somewhere else as well, right? And you can still control, maybe you can design new kits, right? You can design new ideas for kits, and then people can, or different chapters can like pick what they want to develop for their community, right? Because their community may need one versus another. But let's see if he comes back anytime soon. Okay.
Can I say something?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
I'm just like mind blown. It's just so amazing. I have no words to say to him. Rather than I am so inspired and blown my mind. He accomplished so much in like 4 months, like including money wise and everything. That yeah, I don't know. I'm going out of business, Manuel.
No, you're not. No, you're not. This is the point of this, is to learn from each other, connect, right? But he's inspiring. Talking to him, when I connected with him, I was like, oh my goodness, he's doing great work. There's still challenges, of course. They're there. I can see them, right? But man, what was I doing at high school? Not this. Definitely not this. So kudos to him and his parents, just putting him up, right? And I love the way he described going from the bedroom to the kitchen to the office, right? And then going from the community door to door and getting a bunch of no's, and then along the way getting that one or two yeses. I mean, that is the entrepreneurial spirit. You go out there, talk to users, find out whether this thing is actually worthwhile, right? So Ahmed, welcome back. Welcome back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, wonderful. Don't worry. We were just sending you praises. Just everybody, Gabriela, you want to just tell him just, yeah, go ahead.
I was just telling them how inspired I am by your accomplishments, and how I have no words for you rather than to say it is mind blowing what you're doing, and I'm so proud of you. And I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy the community needs so many people like you.
Thank you.
I
Um,
have since
yeah,
I have one question. Like, how did you you made it sound like you knew how to do everything, like you flowed through the whole process, and I'm just wondering, like, how did you know that you had to do, like, I don't know, everything? Like, how did you build your company? Because it's like building a company.
I definitely did not. It was definitely a lot of learning on the way. Those steps I did not like lay out, in March or in May. Like, okay, I'm going to do these steps in this order, and this is what's going to happen. That was definitely looking in hindsight and in what I did. And so I would say a lot of just learning from other people who, like, it goes back to the networking thing. Each person that I've talked to, all of you guys are offering me advice and giving me different outlets of information that I can take in, really. So I would say I definitely knew nothing. If I have learned anything about myself in this whole process, is that I know nothing. And so it's definitely just everybody, all of our supporters, all of the business people, the people in retail, all the entrepreneurs, all the scientists, all the parents, all the teachers, just giving their input, and me learning from that, really.
amazing, amazing. Questions, we have time, so please don't be shy if you have questions.
I have just a quick question. So I'm one of the residents at site, and I got a grant for a program that now cannot happen in person. So I was thinking about making kits for the kids so that we could do them over Zoom. How hard is it to like come up with the ideas and make all the kits for the kids?
I would definitely say it is pretty difficult. It is not a cakewalk, but it's also very doable. It depends if you're trying to factor in pricing. Are you going to be selling these? Are you going to have to worry about like shipping them and how much shipping is going to cost with the postal service and all that stuff? But if it's just like a seminar, which is like kids and kids you'll easily get the science kids to, I would say just start with what you want them to learn. And then that goes back to like that whole step-by-step thing. Design the prototypes, create the instructions, and it's not that bad if you don't have to think about all of that other stuff.
Rosario, go ahead.
So since it seems like everything's been moving really, really quickly for you, so you start to get some press, and then suddenly everyone is paying attention. Now you have a bunch more volunteers, you have an office, everything has been moving really quick. So have you run into any issues with sort of demand? Have you run into any issues where suddenly a lot of people are ordering them and now you're trying to ramp up and kind of meet those needs?
Definitely when CNN dropped, I think on like Christmas Day, it was just a flood of like that we're so grateful for, like a flood of like support, like donors and people buying science kits. And it was definitely our biggest challenge to date. It's just like we had to do like thank you. And so it was just, there was a huge demand, and it put our assembly team to the test, really, but they knocked it out the park. We got it done in a reasonable amount of time, I want to say. And we've actually grown from that, because with all that demand, you need to make sure that you're not wasting any time. You need to really streamline your processes to where we're not just sitting in a room wasting our time, really. And so we learned, the flood helped us learn what works, what didn't work, and what are we going to carry with us into the new year. And so, like, for example, we were able to make like 300 science kits in like just yesterday. I checked in on them. So it's like, so we definitely there were demand problems, but we met them and we came out better.
Great question. So earlier when you tuned out a little bit there, Ahmed, I was saying that one other thing you can think about is creating these instructionals for other people. Like Priscilla was mentioning, hey, I want to make kids. How do I do this, right? And you can walk through that, kind of what you do with us, like what is the process of thinking about a kit, right? The materials, the pricing point. And then now this is the part I think you probably need to develop further is the impact measurement. How could someone utilize this, right? What are you measuring before a student gets the kit? And what are you measuring after they get a kit? What is the change, right, that you wish that takes place, right? You mentioned that smile, right, that was there in that slide. That's wonderful. Question is, how do you measure that smile? What is the quantifiable, as you mentioned, you want to get this quantity, right? I can see some residents laughing and they know where I'm going with this. It's, you definitely, it helps to develop that logic model, like thinking through what is the problem, which you have well articulated, to that impact, right? What is the change that you seek to see and what metrics will allow you to get it out, right? Because when you start going for these bigger grants, they would want to know, so what is the impact? Beyond just, we have developed 10,000 kits, great, yay. So what, right? That's the ultimate question that comes up all the time. So definitely do think about that. I hope he didn't freeze there on me. Okay, well, he comes back. We'll do one more question and then call it.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Did you hear what I was saying? I hope.
Yeah, I could hear you that whole time. And it's like, I'm yelling at my computer, but I could hear you the whole time.
Yeah. But yeah, so there was a comment here from Girl Loveline. Yeah, perhaps an opportunity. Absolutely. I think if there's some residents who have more specific feedback for you, Ahmed, I'll definitely make sure I send it to you as well in the next couple of weeks.
Yes,
so
please.
Yes, so definitely, this is not, onesie and then you're gone. We are gonna hopefully continue to engage with you. Claire has a question. Claire, go ahead. Let's see. Claire, can you hear us?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. First off, absolutely incredible what you're doing, what you've done, the impact that you've had as a high school senior. I keep thinking back to myself, my senior year of high school, and I was just worried about an exam coming up in the week compared to you, who's pushing out this incredible opportunity for kids to get excited about science. So holy crap. My question, and you kind of touched on this earlier, is what impact has it had on you? Like, how have you seen yourself change in these past months?
It's a really good question. Well, one, like as I said earlier, it's just I've learned a ton of stuff just from everybody, like different.
That was a great question. Claire, hopefully he comes back. Ahmed, we lost you there, Ahmed. If you can hear us, we will be waiting for you when you come back in.
Legality to forming a corporation or not. Are you guys still there?
Ahmed, I have a suggestion. Why don't you disable your video, okay? Just for, I think maybe it's a bandwidth issue. Yeah, and go ahead for Claire's question.
Okay, so what have I learned about myself? Really, what has the impact been on me? So one, as I said earlier, I just learned a lot of stuff, and I've really come to appreciate the knowledge that I can pick up on every day, just from talking to people and just from listening to what they have to say to me. So I've been really appreciative on that. It's definitely opened my eyes to, there's other avenues of learning that are beyond our textbooks and that are beyond the internet. They come from these everyday interactions with wonderful people like you guys. And so that's definitely been one of the things that's been impactful for me. And also, my parents are always asking, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What are you going to major in college? Blah, 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 blah. And I honestly don't have that all figured out yet. But what Kids Cubed has shown me is that in whatever I do, I hope it's in STEM, but in whatever I do, I want to be able to have a positive impact on the community and the world in general. So that's also been one of the huge takeaways for me, is that, okay, I don't know what I want to do, but I know that whatever I do, I want to help make the world a better place, really.
That's, I think that's a really great place to end our discussion. We are all inspired by you, Ahmed. You can enable your video now. I think it's okay. I think it's when you're speaking it's tough, but we are all inspired by you, Ahmed, and we hope that we'll continue chatting with you and helping you really take Kids Cube to new heights. And we look forward to hearing more about what happens with your college. I know you're thinking about, where to go. So we'll be just watching and seeing how everything goes. So with that, that concludes our February seminar, everyone. We will be meeting again, actually, in February. Again, we have our next speaker, Katie Canfield. So we'll be talking about the inclusive science communication report that came out, and she'll be providing, as one of the authors, she will be doing kind of a journal club style spiel. So that will be February 20th, as always, right here, 12 p.m. as usual. So please join us again for that. It should be really, really exciting. And with that, thank you, and hope you all have a great weekend. Bye, everyone.